Hello and welcome to Watch and to Play, a podcast about two things, movies and video games. I am your host. My name is Will Bretz, and today I have one movie and one video game to recommend to you that I hope people check out and figure out if they like it or not. A little background on me. Basically, movies and video games have been the two biggest passions of mine throughout my life. I am actually an Emmy award-winning associate producer. I worked for NFL Films right after college and won an Emmy working on Hard Knocks. Since then, I've worked on a lot of ESPN 30 for 30s, things like that, a lot of unscripted and reality television. But I love movies, and then in my free time, I play video games. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. So today, to get right to it, movie that I'm going to recommend to everyone is called Sleep.
되면 쿵쾅거리는 소리가 들려서 어떨 땐 비명 소리도 오빠
누가 들어왔어?
Sleep is from 2023. It is directed by Jason Yu. And this is actually Jason Yu's first movie. This is his directorial debut. It is about 95 minutes long, and it's starring Jung Yoo-mi and Lee Sun-kyun, who are both Korean actors. This is a Korean movie. Unfortunately, Lee Sun-kyun actually passed away in 2023 at the age of 48. So this was one of his last movies. A lot of people might know him as Mr. Park in Parasite. Great movie, Parasite. Please go watch that if you haven't already. The cinematography was done by Tae-soo Kim. Sleep is a thriller. Sleep is, I don't know if I'd call it horror really, but definitely a thriller. Very anxiety-inducing, but in a great way. I would not say that horror is my favorite genre. In fact, it's like probably one of my least favorite genres. I don't love jump scares. I have enough anxiety in my normal everyday life that I don't seek it out all the time when I'm trying to relax. So being not a huge fan of horror and thrillers, it even surprised myself that this was the movie that I really wanted to recommend today. Sleep starts off, we meet our main characters. They are a newlywed couple named Hyun-soo, who's the husband, and Soo-jin, who's the wife. They live in a apartment, like a modest apartment in the city. And not only are they newlyweds, but they're actually also expecting a baby. Soo-jin is pregnant, very early stages of pregnancy. You know, they're a loving couple. They seem really excited about their future. And then Hyun-soo is an actor. That's his job. He's trying to make it as a bit of a struggling actor. So you're, pretty quickly kind of rooting for this young couple. They're very sweet and just optimistic. Anyway, one night, Soo-jin is sleeping, and she finds that her husband is sleepwalking. And not just sleepwalking, but he starts to do some really uncomfortable things while he's sleepwalking, such as he walks to the fridge and starts eating raw meat at one point. They have a little kind of like yappy dog, and he starts becoming like kind of threatening towards this dog while he's sleepwalking. So he's just like doing a lot of uncomfortable things. So they try to figure it out. They go to a doctor and they try to get him diagnosed and treated for sleepwalking, but it doesn't stop. Part of the fun is seeing what he gets up to when he's sleeping, so I don't want to spoil too much. Eventually they actually meet like a psychic, and she dabbles in the paranormal. And she believes that he is actually not sleepwalking, but he is in fact possessed by a spirit. And the rest of the movie is kind of figuring out, which one is it? Is he sick and he needs treatment, or is he actually possessed by some kind of evil spirit? It's really just like a really fun, well-paced ride. I would say that yeah, the pacing is like some of my favorite parts about it. It's only 95 minutes, and it really packs a punch for that amount of time. I can find that some horror movies, thrillers can be a little way too long when the message that they're conveying, really could have been summed up a lot quicker. But sometimes for the sake of just adding suspense, they just make it longer. I really loved that this was short and sweet, I guess you could say, but it didn't feel like 95 minutes. It felt like a 2-hour movie, but a really good 2 hours. Like I was locked in. I think that another really impressive point about this movie was that a lot of that anxiety, a lot of those scares were done just through creative editing or just really good cinematography. There's really not a heavy use of special effects, at least that I could tell. I love that more, honestly. I love that you can put your trust in whoever made the movie through shooting it or editing it or directing it or acting it. You can put your trust in those teams to deliver the impact rather than, oh, we need to spend $50,000 here on this graphics company to create this like horrible monster or something like that. Everything was like pretty practical effects. Something like him sleepwalking and going and eating raw meat out of the fridge. Something like that can deliver exactly what you want. And what did that cost? Not very much. It's just usable props. So I think that's one of my favorite things about the movie is it seems to be low budget other than the cast. And the other thing that I really love about it is the characters are believable and worth rooting for, I would say. I guess I don't want to compare too much, but I did the same week that I saw Sleep, I actually also saw Midsummer, and I liked Midsummer. I think it's like one of the most gorgeous horror movies I've ever seen, but I really did I liked some things specifically about Sleep that I didn't like about Midsummer. One of them was the length. I think Midsummer is closer to like 2.5 hours, which is a little too long for me. And then the other thing was that the characters in Midsummer, I felt a little like they were unbelievable. And part of this happens often for me in horror movies, and is part of why maybe I don't like them as much, is at a certain point, I just kind of like don't care about the characters, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, you can all die, like whatever. I don't know. I'm not rooting for any one of you in particularly that much. That was the exact opposite with this one. I cared about the couple, and not just because the actors and like they're just likable people. I think that I was rooting for them because this movie says something about relationships that I think is really important. One of them being that when one of you is going through something, if you're in a really committed, powerful, long-lasting relationship, if one of you is going through something, then the other person is too. There is a lack of isolation when you're in a relationship like that, where if you've got a medical issue, or you're grieving, or I don't know, just something, or one of you is depressed, then it affects the other person so much. And then when you're searching for a cure or peace, you have to work together to find it. And I think that kind of message about a relationship is so perfect for horror in particular, and thrillers, because yes, there is this existential scary threat and it's very real, but it can also help build your characters and make them more three-dimensional and just make them more worth rooting for. So I thought that was really cool that I was rooting for their relationship throughout this movie. And I think another point is that when you're in that turmoil while you're in a relationship, that there really is no giving up. You have to get through it, and you have to get through it together. And so I feel like that became a big mission of this movie, is to have this amazing story and anxiety and but fun at the same time. Especially watch it in a group if you can. Watch it with at least one other person. It's a fun ride to take together. And the thing with the relationship is you can't give up, and on certain obstacles, you kind of have to put 100% of your trust in the other person, just that they know what they're talking about and they care for you and they're going to only do what's best for you. I felt like that became, I don't know, a symbol in the movie as well. So I really, really enjoyed it. Speaking of Parasite, the director of Parasite, Bong Joon-ho, He lauded the film as the most unique horror film and the smartest debut film I've seen in 10 years. So a ringing endorsement from probably one of the most famous Korean directors right now, in Bong Joon-ho. So I'm really excited for Jason Yu, the director, to continue. I'm really excited for whatever he has next. I thought this debut was really, really impressive in a genre that I don't love, but it definitely left an impact on me. And yeah, I really recommend it, and hope that you can check it out and see what you think too. All right, so next, the video game I have today to recommend, going along with that theme of horror and thriller, is a game called Inscryption. Inscryption came out in 2021. It is developed by Daniel Mullins Games. The genre is a roguelike deck building game. I would also say the genre is creepy. You can play Inscryption on Windows through Steam. You can play on Mac, PlayStation 4 or 5, Nintendo Switch, or Xbox. Inscryption is kind of like a throwback to, it feels very much like a Windows 98 game. I don't know if any of you played, I don't know, maybe like Zoom Beanies, or I played Dr. Brain or The Incredible Machine, or, you know, maybe even it dates further back than that, like almost like a TurboGrafx game or something. It's very pixelated, and the audio is probably like 16-bit audio. So very much a flash back to the past. Inscryption drops you in immediately in the middle of a game. There's actually like you open up the menu, and the new game part of the menu is like grayed out. You can't even select it. You have to select continue. So the game's already in progress when you start, and there is reasoning behind that you find out later. But you hit continue, and you are at a big wooden table, very low light, you know, maybe just like a candle on the table. And you look across the table, and on the opposite side reveal two creepy eyeballs. You can't see the figure behind the eyes, just the eyes. And he says to you, "A new challenger, finally." He then sets out a board on the table and deals you some cards and teaches you how to play a pretty simple but interesting, you know, deep card game. The hand you're dealt is comprised of different animals: squirrels, wolves, a stoat, which is a type of basically ferret. And each of these animals has two numbers at the bottom. In the bottom left is its attack power. So 0 if it has no attack, or 1 or 2, and that decides how much damage it does on each of its attacks. And then on the bottom right is a heart that is their health. So they can have 1 health, so they can take 1 point of damage, 2 health, 3 health, 4 health, so on and so forth. There are 4 spaces in front of you for where you can place those cards. And then there's 4 spaces on the opposite table, on the opposite end of the table for the opponent, the creepy-eyed dude. And he has his own cards, and he's going to play them against you. And so as you play these cards, they each have a different cost. The squirrel is free, but then the wolf actually requires you to sacrifice animals that are currently on the board, your side of the board. You have to sacrifice your own animals to summon stronger animals, basically. So there is a lot of strategy in that. It's like, okay, do I want to invest in really low-cost cards, or do I want to, you know, spend my energy trying to summon something that requires like 3 or 4 sacrifices, but then it's just like a big giant like 7 attack, 7 health minion. So there's strategy in how you build your deck, because as you win battles and keep going, you can upgrade the existing cards you have, or you find and earn new cards. Cards can also have different abilities to them. There's some cards that have like an undying ability, which means that when they die on the table, they actually just go right back into your hand and you can play them again. There's some cards that have like an underwater ability, and basically at the end of your turn after your minion attacks, it will hide underwater so that it can't be attacked and destroyed by the opponent's minions. So there is some like depth, and it's like I said, it's a roguelike game, so you actually do multiple passes at it. You're going to lose eventually, especially in the beginning. Eventually you will lose, and you start over back at the beginning with a new set of cards, and all of your power-ups and stuff go away. But you do earn certain items or knowledge that you'll get further and further each time that you play, just through knowledge, but also through more permanent items that will stick with you. So that's kind of the beginning of the game. As you defeat things, you move through a map, which is like a forest, and you find spaces that are like, hey, you're visiting this campfire, and you can try and level up your stoat if you want. You can find a wood carver, and they will help you carve and build totems that give certain animals of yours new abilities. So you're playing this game and getting further and further, and at one point the creepy-eyed figure across the table looks at you and goes, you can get up if you want, stretch your legs, whatever you got to do. So you get up from the table and you realize that you are in a dark log cabin, and you can walk around the cabin. There are things around the cabin, like there's a clock, and you can move the hands of the clock if you want. There is a safe, and that safe has 3 different dials on it. You have no idea what the code is to unlock the safe. There are figurines, and one of them's holding a dagger, but it's locked and you can't get it. So there's all these different little puzzles kind of throughout the cabin. And that's about when you realize that not only are you playing a card game at the table with a figure you still don't know who it is, but you are also playing an escape room in this log cabin and trying to figure out how to get the hell out of here. I love that idea that this developer was like, you're basically going to be playing 2 games at once. You're going to learn this card game, and then you're going to be doing an escape room on the side, and you're making progress on both simultaneously. You'll do things in the card game that will give you items to help you get out of the cabin, or you'll solve a puzzle in the cabin and it'll give you a really sick card that you can then use in the card game. And it's just a thrilling experience to be put in a game like that. And that's why I don't want to go too much further, because that's not all that this game does to surprise you. And that's one of my favorite parts about it, and is why I would highly recommend Inscryption, is because it is a game that surprised me in the most delightful way. It has you guessing like what genre it is, basically. And there is a narrative going on that reveals itself slowly and as you make progress. So you'll, defeat bosses, and then things will come to light to educate you on what the game is and why it exists, and why weird things are happening, like the game starting at continue and not new game. So it's like an anxiety kind of thriller game, but also it is hilarious. It's really, really funny. I laughed out loud when I was playing a game against, I think, a boss, and it was, pretty high stakes turn that I was on, and I had the stoat, and I played the stoat, and the stoat said to me, total misplay. And I just lost it. Like, I love that the cards can talk back to you and make jokes about you and make fun of you. It's just the humor and the darkness of the game are around every corner, and I love it. The writers of the game, I think, deserve a lot of credit for, if you just made a creepy game, that's fine. But to also make it hilarious, this kind of dark comedy of a game, it really stood out to me and was one of my favorite games. So please, I hope you check out Inscryption, and I hope you enjoy it. please tell me whatever. If you check it out for 10 minutes or you play it for 40 hours, whatever, let me know. And I hope you check it out. So to wrap things up, I've got a new section just called What I'm Hyped About. And it's just going to be 2 or 3 quick points, certain things that I've been checking out lately that I'm really enjoying. So first one I'll do is like kind of movie or television wise. What have I been checking out lately? And I want to recommend the show Game Changer, which is on Dropout. And Game Changer is a game show where the rules change for the contestants every single episode. So it is a new game show every time. I specifically want to shout out episode 9 from season 5. This episode is called Escape the Green Room. And basically the producers have trapped the 3 contestants in an escape room without their knowledge.
Okay, I'm gonna go use the bathroom as well.
Yeah, I guess I should probably.
Brennan, you've set off a bad.
Oh, this one's out of order.
Oh, this door is locked.
Oh, wow.
This door is straight up locked. They don't want us getting out, dude.
Is this the show? Get ready for a game changer.
No fucking way.
It is absolutely hilarious to watch these 3 contestants have a meltdown about suddenly being in an escape room, but also them working together, them solving these really cool puzzles. The episode was actually like co-produced by a guy named Tommy Houghton, who Tommy is a professional escape room designer. So it's a really well-made escape room. And they have cameras all over the room, so they're constantly watching every move they make. It's hilarious. I highly recommend it. Game Changer, Season 5, Episode 9, Escape the Green Room. Gaming-wise, something that I checked out this past week, there was a fighting game tournament called the Capcom Cup, which just happened a couple weeks ago. And there was a contestant on there. His name is Blaz, B-L-A-Z. And Blaz is a 15-year-old from Chile. And he absolutely destroyed so many people during this tournament. The Capcom Cup is a huge deal. It's in Japan, and the winner gets $1 million for playing Street Fighter 6. And I like fighting games. I played a lot of like Tekken, some Street Fighter, a little bit of Mortal Kombat growing up. But I never entered tournaments or anything like that, but I have a big respect for the genre for sure. My favorite fighting game is Smash. You gotta Smash. So highly recommend checking out Blaz from the Capcom Cup. It was a blast to watch. I'll put a link for that in the description if you want to check it out.
But still, Wallen Bird out here. Blaz, no meter, but he still has access to a DI, and he's gonna hit it. And Blaz, just like that, charge up the Shogeki, show him the door, because kid, you're in grand finals.
And then lastly, I want to recommend music-wise, I love music. I want to recommend an album called Ambient Works for the Highways of Los Angeles by Elijah Fox. This is great music if you are working or doing homework or just doing anything and you want some background music that doesn't have any lyrics. Elijah Fox is a really talented piano player, keyboardist. It's just like super, super chill and really enjoyable for me to listen to. I'll definitely be bumping it while I'm editing this. Highly recommend it. Ambient Works for the Highways of Los Angeles by Elijah Fox. And that's going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 2 of To Watch and To Play. I've been your host, Will Bretz. I highly recommend Sleep, the movie, and Inscryption, the video game. So please check them out. If you do, please leave a comment, subscribe, like, do all that fun stuff, and we'll have more episodes soon. So thanks again so much. I will catch you next time on To Watch and To Play.